Let's discuss the technique of the Talmud and then several examples thereof. We have a troika, three men or three women, all sharing the same career with different specialties, non-traded. A trade federation out of martial arts dojos, the model for the CIA based on the Yakuza, trade specialties among more than 2 to 5 people. But the Troika uses 3 exclusively. They scout out a pair of residencies where labor and management are kept separate, with a union inside the residential, commercial, industrial of labor, and inside management, a embassy line, a state province police, and of course the negotiating party of family. So do you see, it isn't this actual way in terms of creation. It could vary, but in classification it matches the needs to entry. Otherwise, you're immune. So the union is targeted for a cause to reform, progressivism, an essential innate nature we've had since the first hieroglyph, the education of society. Anyone against progressivism being against the general forward march towards luxury, comfort, and sustained breeding. The concept of food being available to all, instead of the despotism of food being only available to those who are willing to make a confidence grift, an exploitation of labor, the general depression and lethargy of a bigot, like your friend Glenn Beck on Fox. So, the Troika will determine the cause necessary to keep the union, the police, of course, being the union, in longevity. They will then invite in a corridor agent to flip the union non-function with a product identified by Troika, then hooked into the labor section, the unions, and of course the generalized labor of production, a good essential to the national need of an area, such as America, the farms, our only volatile resource. Volatile meaning it can be passed down in family. Any rejecting our form of progressivism being homosexual. They respond to therapy and state support programs, dying under the same vices admitted for, however, without breeding properly, breeding pederasts. The so-called evangelical tents, a unique movement of child molesters, featured on programs like Fox News, the Irish small business investment to exploit Canada. At this point, once the product is identified, a cartel, a Talmud, is brought in. There is a production of illicit wares to scout through corridor agents, then scouting through with a legal ware to be sold the union is dependent on, at which point the police union is seized and production shuts down. The union flips out of control of your audits union into control of a foreign isosceles, a foreign party allied to the corridor agent, the Israeli, Zionist, Judenstaaters, Haganah, etc., with a bounds from that country hired to commit war upon your own through sales, legal, to management, to maintain labor. The union then disintegrates. The police commission ends. In order to resume production, the management union has to set up through embassy a legal exchange. which is, of course, how the Talmudic system works. By myth, a bank or dominance of Jewry, actually the ledger turned against mercenary labor for serving a foreign country, such as Ireland and the Fenian Brotherhood of Boston, small business, the Fox networks, and the varying sorts of pederasts responding to therapy in children. In America called evangelicals, the Irish Catholics, the dick faces, the Nazis, such as Sinn Féin, or the three-leaf clover, a broad slur in Ireland, actually meant to be a four-leaf. The three-leaf emblazoned with a swastika by the four-leaf. The O'Neills, the forward runners and gunners of British intelligence, MI6, the Irish division of the British military. So anyways, let's look at some Talmuds. We've got the Nazarenes, the Philistines, trading and pit fighting, controlling elections through purchases of wines and marijuana during the Judean occupation of Israel by Rome. The prize fighting and sporting events being a singular duel. We've got Che Guevara, a man who is both a general and a private, identifying the term of the corridor agent as a racist term, writing the work on cocaine, targeting the printing shops for the t-shirt with his face is printed, the specific dye quantity requested, of course, being the target agents for movement, for the Bolivarian Republic of South America to be placed out of sight in the United States. Therefore, a media socialist union forms to eliminate the past Talmud, the National Socialists, the anti-progressives, those being individuals who prefer the same style of cooking ware to those eating food. Therefore, everybody is in a lower class society. They're all male postal servants, theologians. How about Whitey Bulger, the Irish investment out of Boston into the Fenians of Canada and Fox News, a major supported group and news service by the Irish Mafia, Whitey Bulger? That is the bet on the Red Sox pennant being 2 games down on any team named after a bird. A bird. The homoerotic Hindu investment, taking advantage of the fact that the teams named after a bird in the MLB are a strong but weak Zionist investment. The anti-Semites out of the Chicago farming community, the basin relief status of the MLB's control of Zionist munitions, targeting those manufacturers of computers, those states reliant upon computers being named after birds, for a takeover by China, with such organizations as CVS and Anti-Taiwanese Front. How about the New York Asians investment in mozzarella without tomato sauce? The witches, the fans of Power Rangers. Mozzarella being an early performance-enhancing fighter's drug, only leveled out by deadly nightshade, tomato, causing homoerotic compliance and submission unless with ketchup flavored by sucrose on a hot dog, a pork hot dog, with the pederast claim that you can't eat ketchup on a hot dog in public or private beyond a certain age. The pederast being somebody who's mixed mayonnaise and ketchup to cause colon cancer through celiac disease, glutens in bread preventing colon and intestinal cancer. The, of course, criminal rivalry out of the Montreal mob, the French. The most glaring of which the original investment, the Numidians out of Carthage, taking of slaves for knife fights, at the pleasure of Africans and those whites buying over to Africans, the overseers and plantation owners, the Confederacy, crushed by the Scottish Presbyterian religion, poop sex, shit sex, Scotland, schleich, shit eating shit. That being the Southern idea that you are responsible for your constituents' actions, not the safety of your constituents. Of course, also found in Korea and Scotland and the Nordic community, the bastard blonde. So now, looking at the Troika, we can determine the isosceles investment under Obama being under the Communist Chinese, the CVS, the closed angle of the isosceles, the medical investment of pharmaceuticals, the African hoodoo, the name subject of making a man a slave, the therapeutic industry and code words and bywords, and the Chinese curio market, animal abuse to produce antipsychotics and medicines, all of them poisonous. Together being, of course, CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and the other pharmacists. Nobody needs their meds unless they're already on them. I seem like I need meds because I'm on medication. My father is a no-good nigger buying into Zionist homo propaganda through the chinks, the pharmacies. Any doctor will tell you that the preferred medication is marijuana. That's what medical professionals smoke, marijuana. They don't use alcohol and they don't smoke cigarettes. Alcohol, of course, being for the career in a blue-collar science. Cigarettes being for the career as a generalized worker. Impossible without developing schizophrenia, delirium tremens, due to lack of alcohol before, of course, the invention of the cigarette. Or the cigar, falsely slurred as a stogie by a Minion's man, a Midian, a tiny dinkus, a man seeking to study a foreign culture as if anything different, a stalker, such as Glenn Beck's fixation with Asian American women. He thinks they're somehow altered or different than his own women, just because he thinks they have a tighter pussy. Glenn Beck can't get an erection. He's a German big butt.